Hey everybody, this is Bart Sharp, and you are on Becoming Quantum Conscious on United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 105.3 out of New Orleans, Louisiana. Probably a cloudy day there, as it's cloudy in Austin, and we're enjoying that. Uh, and we're also on Roku, uh, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble today, because we have a special guest who is a Rumble woman. I tell you, I don't know anybody that's a bigger Rumble in the world. And I mean that in the best ways. Maybe it's not even anything about rumbling, because that insinuates that she's kind of quiet. And this woman is not quiet. She's powerful. She knows more information than just about anybody I know on certain topics, which we're going to discuss one of her favorites today. And so, without any further ado, I'm going to bring on Michelle. Hey, hey, hey.
How are you?
I am good. It's good to see you.
Oh, it's always great to see you as well. So thank you for having me on. I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, we're going to get daring today because, I mean, it's one thing to talk about ET with
Mm.
like all the sensationalism and abductions. I don't want to say sensational, but they're big stories, and everybody wants to hear these aha type of big things that happen to, some people.
Mm.
However, I just think that all of this ET consciousness is much more prevalent than what we can imagine or maybe accept. I don't know.
Mm. Um, I think we live, I think it's a perfect time to talk about it because we're living in a time of, alleged disclosure. I think it's happening. And which is funny to me because we have been, um, we as experiencers, I've been an experiencer since I was a child. Didn't always realize it, in fact, but um, I have been. So, and here I am, today. I'm not one of these traumatized people. Not that I haven't had my moments of like, what the heck is this? But I think there's a lot of situations where people are scared. Things are coming into them at night, and you're supposed to feel safe when you're going to bed. You're not supposed to be, you're not supposed to have these kind of interactions. I think a lot of people have a hard time getting past that. So some experiences are not really awesome. Not
Hmm.
awesome for some people. For me, I find they've been very respectful. And when I started realizing that maybe some of the levels of high strangeness I experienced in my life were not so much just um it was, everybody puts things off to, well, maybe that's paranormal. It's like, it's just like unknown or unexplained phenomena. It's like, yeah, very possibly, but you don't realize how everything connects. So I started doing some research. I was kind of like, okay, let's see what this is all about, and especially this whole what they call a CE5, movement where people just go out and we're just going to call them, and they spend all kinds of money to try to, sit down, learn how to meditate, just to show you it's exactly what we're talking about with consciousness. They are taught to meditate and open themselves up to being able to have this interaction. And I thought, why are people paying for that? It's just telepathic. I don't meditate to do it. I just go out there and go boom. And next thing you know, within a week, I'm having crazy experiences going on in the house. So much so to one point where I was just getting ready to go to bed. I was wide awake, just turned off the lights, and lo and behold, I turn around because I had this sense of a presence there, and I see a gray, about 4 4 foot tall. I mean, I'm kind of laying down, so I could be off on that, and I'm just like, me being me, just kind of went nope, and I rolled over.
I
No,
gotta
I
get some
don't.
sleep.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think this is a thing. I'm just nope. So, but it made me realize that, God, that was really easy. And it also made me realize that they were around throughout my childhood. So I spoke to my mother before she passed, and I said, "No, I'm not going through this. Apparently this is a
You're,
generation."
you're, you're a little blurry, dear. Your sound is a little blurry.
Oh, really?
Now
Maybe
you
because I'm
are.
moving away.
Yeah, you're
Oh,
moving.
okay, I won't move.
Ask your
I'm
ET
very animated. I'm French.
ask your ET friends to pump you up, honey.
Yeah. So yeah, quit messing with the mic. No, um, yeah. After speaking with my mom, it came to, I said, like, is there something to all this? Because I grew up hearing stories of family members. My father would see crafts. My grandfather, my mother. I mean, we'd see them all the time. There were no satellites in the skies back then. I know I'm aging myself a bit, but it's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there's a lot of stories that came to be throughout the family. And I realized, okay, maybe this is what I've been experiencing all along, which has been not too bad because if they come around, unlike what a lot of the stuff that you read, I personally, and maybe it depends on the race, find them to be very respectful. If I feel them come in and there are nights where I'm just like, I am so tired, don't know if I can go anywhere. So I just get a little animated about it. But all of a sudden, the presence is just gone. Other
Mm.
times I've just said, please just let me fall asleep first, and I don't really care. I'll go to work. That's what I'm supposed to do. Right. So I do it, and I wake up next day feeling exhausted. But this is where I have these crazy dreams. Like one, I mean, I'm literally in space and I'm looking out of this, like I'm assuming is a ship portal because it's this
Mm-hmm.
round thing, but I'm looking out at the stars. So I go, okay, I know I was on a craft, you know, but I don't get all these stories that a lot of like horrific stories that people have talked about. For me, it's not been like that.
I think of some friend of mine. He was telling me a story and wanted to tell this story on the radio,
Mm,
and and it was a lot about it, the fears. And as I heard this story, I was wondering, it's just like, how much are you just totally resistant to that reality
mm-hmm,
of that? The same people that might be afraid of a ghost or something
mm-hmm,
happening on that level, and there's a
mm-hmm,
lot of that there, and maybe
mm-hmm,
the ETs uh, come in and try to go, why can't we be friends, type of thing.
mm-hmm.
And
Um,
people jump the the opposite direction.
I definitely tend to agree with you on that. I think a lot of it is conditioning and mindset. The crazy movies that we see. I think there's more to it. There's so many that are here and have been here long before us. They don't just come from the stars. They're dimensional or interdimensional. Some of them are very terrestrial. They're not
Hmm.
extraterrestrial. They've been here all along. You people have sightings. I've had people tell me incredible stories. One that always sticks out in my mind was a guest I had on my own show. And he goes, he had people on his show who they went hiking into the mountains and they ended up going into this little space through a crevasse and maneuvering around to the point where it was like a little cave system. All
Hmm.
of a sudden, they were in this area totally different and they had blue avians. And
Wow.
I know it was it was pretty amazing as they were recalling the story, which was being recalled secondhand, and they had these interactions with these beings to the point where they asked, "Do you want to stay with us?" And the one guy's like, "Yeah, I'm about staying with you guys for sure," which makes you wonder, like, would you stay? Would you have stayed, or would you have gone? So he went through this portal, and the friend said, "You know what? I just have things I need to finish
Yeah.
first and I'll come back." Right? Because they were just so like the feelings that they were experiencing were just so incredible. And that guy went back after a week and he couldn't find, went to the exact same spot. That was it.
Mm, that
That
was
that
it.
doorway was done. And yes, that's crazy.
So if you were in their shoes
Hmm.
of having that possibility
Hmm.
that you could either, go and see this unknown world
Hmm.
or stay, what would be your reaction? Uh, I know how I would react. Um, but I'll let you answer that question first, and maybe I'll get a choice then. But before you think about that, I want to just say hi to a Taurus Girl Reads, Catherine Fourfingers, Ray Mellows, Heidi Gold. If I missed anybody, I don't think
Michael
so.
Kennedy at the top.
Michael
Yeah.
Kennedy, yeah, hey.
Uh,
Uh, yeah, I was trying to figure out what that code word was. Like, is that a vocal exercise I should be doing? Popcorn yellow striped smile.
oh no, that's just
Like
emojis. Yeah, sometimes
oh,
they come
okay.
up. Yeah, right.
I
Oh,
was thinking
yeah.
of red leather, yellow leather type of
Yeah,
thing.
I know.
Hi, Rocks. Learning, learn, think media. That's so
Yeah.
enough of that. What
Um,
would
it's
WWJMD? What would Michelle Gauchers do?
You know what? It's a very tough question for me because I'm very adventurous. I'm a world traveler. I've been to many different parts of the world. I want to experience everything that life has to offer. I think you and I have a kinship too because we found ourselves on social media because I just love the south of France so much, and inquired about you because you came on the show way back in the day, and I wanted you to talk about all your experiences there. Anyway, but I'm also mom, right? And it's like it would be hard for me, as adventurous as I am, and think, yeah, I'm down, I'm going. If I was a lone little person in the world, I would jump through it, no problem, and go, yes. Because I do tend to throw caution to the wind and I listen to my inner self or my higher self. And it says, I like to think that I would tell myself this is safe or it's not safe. But having family, I would not want to leave my family. I would want them to come with me or I would have to stay behind.
Mm.
Responsibility, responsible. Yeah.
Service.
It is. It
It's
is.
service, hon. And just think of the millions of people you connect to out in the world, and
Mhm.
also all of these people that are connected to you that present on the show that have, like, this is an important voice that you
Mhm.
provide for people to express this stuff. So I think this is great service.
Oh, thank you.
Uh, if I was going to do it, I would say, give me the ET mind in this body. Just download me, baby.
Download me, baby. Oh, yeah. Well, it happens if you ask, right? If you ask. I mean, I do tend to get downloads and visions and things like that. But I ask for it. I do a lot of researching. So I'll often just say, okay, what is it you want me to see? Or I'll say, show me. All of a sudden, I am in entirely different directions in my research. Like, how did I even get here? And what does this have to do with what I'm researching?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like there's something that obviously someone wants me to see. And then once I read it, I'm like, okay, I understand. So I think in a way, they use technology in a way to give you those visuals. But I mean, as far as downloads and visions, I could go months and have nothing, and then all of a sudden I could go 3 4 nights in a row. And sometimes I look at that and go, wow, sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not so obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And things will happen after the fact to validate it because I'm still me. I'm kind of like, you question everything and I want to reference and cross reference. And so I'll write things down and I'll be like, and I've literally seen myself say, what the heck do you want me to do with this? What is this exactly? And but then things happen. I think you and I have spoken about that. Things
Yeah.
happen and
Yeah.
things come in, and I'm just like, okay, now I understand.
These are extremely empathic beings, empathic beyond a lot of our imagination about how
Mm,
empathic we could be. To be
yes.
at many places at once and have a presence, maybe in a Stargate mountain, but also be in outer space and don't like at the same time. We're
Hmm.
talking about that type of thing. So
Hmm.
they're going to want to react to whoever we are.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
I think these are very serving individuals. Service is a big word.
It is because there have been many stories of them coming down and interacting with people and telling them things like, this is what's going to happen to you guys, this planet, if you don't do this or do that. Or they're giving you ideas of how to help yourself. And I mean, it's like people. I think we need to realize it's like people. We're many different races. There are good people, there are not so good people. The same thing applies to ET. Like they're very diverse, right? So
Hmm.
what you experience you may have with one may not be the same as the other. I found out I had some recordings where it had this specific sound in it, and I'm going, okay, I think that might be a gray. I was completely proven wrong when I had a guest on the show and I said, okay, so what is this sound? They're like, oh, that's a mantis. When I think mantis, I think praying mantis. And he goes, oh, yes, but much bigger. And Preston Dennett, who's also on our network, has talked about that. He's written books with stories with people who've had these experiences with these mantis, and they had incredible experiences. But I've heard the opposite as well. So I'm thinking that means there was a very large bug in my house. Maybe I shouldn't really look at it that way. A large mantis being, right? I had to reframe my thinking. Don't say bug, just, just large mantis being who was obviously in my space because of the recordings that I received. And I was
Yeah.
sort of like,
Nothing,
okay,
nothing for love but for you, brother.
I just gotta go love and light, love and light, love and light. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
And if I was in your shoes, I'd be saying, well, what do you want to download in me? What
Mm,
is it that you wish to teach me, and what language do you need to use it?
mhm.
Because you know, I think their codes are beyond our understanding, but it doesn't mean that our body doesn't understand it. We are,
I think subconsciously, and I think why a lot of this happens while we're asleep is because subconsciously it's telepathic messages.
Mhm.
So we do understand. I will put it out there and ask. I'll say, okay, like you again, this is a conversation you and I have had before where I say, okay, I want to assist here, but I need the tools required to assist you specifically with this. And that just comes down to energy work. That's what it is. It's energy work. Because there are some beings out there who are very much about the planet because they live here,
Yes.
right? And I mean, they're very concerned about the planet. Every time, like, and their crafts are often seen around nuclear power plants and such. When the bomb went off, that caused a ripple effect that somebody kind of out there kind of went, that was not good. And they come around because they are
Yes.
very, very concerned about what's going on. Oh, hi, Janie. Hello. Yeah. So, Janie's also from Texas, Bart.
Yeah. Hi, y'all.
Yeah. So, I think there is a very big degree there of concern for us and for the planet. And I think moving forward, if people would open themselves up to the possibility that they may look scary, if you would have told me at any point that you said to me, like, okay, you may have an encounter with a mantis, which I haven't seen, by the way, if I've heard, but you asked me this like maybe 6 months ago, I'd be like, yeah, I don't think so. Now I am kind of like, okay, I think I could do it. I think I could do it now.
Yeah, it's kind of like having a nice new weird friend in your life, and you're a little bit skeptical until you get to know them and to
Yeah.
figure out that they're kind of cool.
Well, we have to
Uh,
get past the physical of it too. I mean, these things tend to be like 10 feet, 12, like they're big. They haunch up. Have you ever seen the little green praying mantis? When they get mad at you, they go back and they put their little arms at you. Picture that, but like supersized. So
yes.
You know, so I think we need to get past the visuals, maybe.
Hmm. I just wonder if they even have a, we animals appear in our lives. I mean, kind of like the
Yeah.
animals speak theme of
Hmm.
wild animals show up. So maybe when you start seeing manises in your life,
Hmm.
maybe one of those beings are there. They have that type of consciousness works that way as well. We get all
Hmm.
kinds of messages from
Hmm.
various forms because these folks are trying to get in there.
Hmm.
Uh, would you even think that, this is what I've always been told about angels, is that angels really want to help you. However, they need an invitation.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's like anything. However, there are things out there you have to be very careful when you're putting out invitations. You know, see, there you go. Her BFF, best friend forever. I know, right? There you go.
Yeah.
It's a one example of a really good relationship with mantis. They may look big and scary, but some of them do, and some of them, the people think very linear. When you're thinking about the fact, for example, of reptilian, there are many types of reptilians. There are many types of grays, some are synthetic, they're not even actual. So there's many different types of beings out there, and I think it's just a matter of having enough confidence in yourself to know, is this a dangerous situation for me? Is this a good situation? Because I don't think I just don't believe that they're all bad. I've had really great experiences. When I think back to childhood, it's like, no, this was okay.
Mm.
You know?
Yes. Yes. I think it just triggers just old fears that we have that might be related to our parent. And, when the trigger
Mhm.
something of your past emotional traumas
Mhm.
or darknesses, whatever,
Mhm.
get paired with a new experience like, you know,
Yes.
an AT coming into your life, which is totally new to you. Like,
It
hello.
could be, or maybe it's, your subconscious. You may be well aware, but but the physical you might be like, I don't think so. I mean, here's
Yeah.
is just an example. You sent me a really interesting picture one time. Like they could show up anywhere. Power spots are really big for them. They feel drawn to certain, use ley lines and feel drawn to these big energetic spots. And do you remember the picture you sent me while you were doing a tour one time? And then when you zoomed in, you sort of like zoom up in the corner. And there's this woman looking at something on your tour. And you zoomed up in the corner. There's a saucer right
Yes.
there in the corner. I was just like, wow. Then and you talk to people like Richard Stanley, who are like, oh yeah, yeah, they're around.
Yeah, no
What?
big deal.
So nonchalant, Richard. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, every good Frenchman in this area of southwest France, the Aude region,
Yeah.
around Pic de Bouguereau Le Chateau, if
See?
you're talking to them, they'll whip out their cell phone and show you these odd photographs they have of that they enlarge, and of course, there's a flying saucer there.
Mm-hmm.
The odd thing about them is, or the characteristics they all have in common, is they look like they're moving, like they're just shifting, and that tells me that we just caught one.
Emotion.
We
Yeah.
caught one in motion, but also we went into the other another dimension in reality.
Yes, it
Uh,
could be because you see a distortion.
mm-hmm.
Sometimes people will see like the circle, sort of like as Dolly says, a light gate, come in and you see them they go in and all of a sudden there's nothing here on the other side. But sometimes it's just like a distortion, and that would almost look like, picture like steam coming off of a hot sidewalk in the summer, just like this distortion.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. They pop up,
Yeah.
and also you can just ask your camera to like connect to the consciousness of your camera. You just
Hmm.
do that, much
Hmm.
like an invitation, and go, "Hey,
Yes.
I would like to start popping into these realities where I get ETs."
Yes.
This is an initiation I give to all of my cameras.
Mhm,
It's like you are a special being, and you're going to bring this across
mhm,
with me together because this
mhm,
is the realities I want you to photograph. We're not
mhm.
doing normal anymore.
There's
type
just
of thing.
it's an energy thing.
It is. It is exchange, and your cameras are inanimate objects. So,
Hmm.
but also they are a cognitive being, much like my house or my car or my
Hmm.
computer. They're highly complex, and
Hmm.
so we can drift into that reality and
Hmm.
initiate them.
Hmm.
It's
Well,
really
your
quite easy.
space is the easiest thing
Sure.
to
Well,
manipulate,
well, we
right?
fill that up all the time. We sleep here and
Yes.
such. When I do house clearings,
Hmm.
one of the first places I go into a person's house because they say, "Oh, I got this negative awful energy. I got a ghost." Most
Hmm.
of the time, it's a shadow of them that they're not being able to process, and so you go to their bed
Hmm.
and you start processing the bed
Hmm.
because that's where their dream time, that's where their unconscious comes out and filters into their mattress and their pillows, and so you clear
Yeah,
that.
the whole subconscious also.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you're wide open at
yeah,
that point. That's where the magic happens.
yeah, and so you can talk to all of these inanimate objects
Mm.
with that,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
a great way to deal with the ET, is to
Mm.
keep asking them to come in and be there. If you're not psychic, muscle test to ask, well, where is ET in my life? Do I have one above my house? Are they in my town?
Hmm. So you
Your body
don't
knows.
even really need to be psychic. I mean, they communicate telepathically, but I think you just need to learn how to listen. Because I'm not a telepath, well, per se, but yet I have a very strong connection now. I've developed, especially over the last probably 6 months, because I've really meditated on it and really concentrated bringing them in. But all you need to do is put the thought out there. You don't have to be psychic. Just put it out there, wait and see what happens. Because they've been known. So many people have claimed to have started their interactions with ET. And they're like, all of a sudden, I'm a telepath. All of a sudden, I'm psychic. I'm
Mhm.
because they just bam. It's
They
kind of
do.
like one of those religious leaders. Boom, poof, you go back and you just, yes, exactly like that. Just, different. But yeah, but it is very it's very enlightening, and they help you. I think if you meditate a little bit, which I've done more of, and now it's just a matter that I can lie down and just say, okay, my screen's on, let's go. And then and all of a sudden I'll just start getting these images.
Mhm.
And next thing you know, when I get into that twilight sleep, I just start to sink in. That's when you'll either get your vision. I've had, I remember having a vision at one point. I'm kind of going, that was weird. Whereas a year, it could be a year, could have been two. I'm driving one day, and all of a sudden I saw exactly what it is that I had been shown in my vision. Exactly.
Wow. Confirmation.
Yes, yes. It's how we share a house. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Wow.
just I just think it's kind of made to order. Uh,
Mm.
I've spent like 5 or 6 night visits at Peak de Bogoraj, which is the Stargate, much like Mount Shasta or Machu
Yes.
Picchu or something like that. And there's
Yes.
this one place where the veils are very thin.
Mm.
And so I'm doing some of these same exercises of just bringing a lot of light in my body and
Hmm.
sending up a big beacon up in the sky and going, hey, I'm here. I'd really like your help. How can you help me tweak myself to a higher consciousness? That's the
Yes.
request. Quite
Yes.
simple.
Yes.
Start driving home after about 11:30, 12 o'clock, and all of a sudden, it's like my brain is twice as fast.
Mm.
And that speeded up reality, it's not twice as fast now, but it's a lot faster uh, than it was. It just kind of upgraded me, which is really nice when you're in the
Yes.
60s and you're thinking of all the slowing down and you see your friends slowing down in their
Hmm.
mental processes. What we need is more energy,
Hmm.
more activation. Our body
Hmm.
to have more flowing through it,
Hmm.
basically.
Hmm.
Uh,
But
just
I like that because it goes to show you that all you have to do is just open yourself up to it. You're in a stargate besides that, like this big energy
Yeah.
spot. So it's so easy because we're energy. We absorb other energy. And
We were.
vice versa. Something can absorb from us. There are times where, I have woken up at times where I have felt hands on my head,
Hmm.
and when first time I was pretty hostile about it, actually. I might have said something along the lines like, touch me and I'll break your arm. Because I was startled. I'm just kind of like, what the heck? There's something touching my head. Like it was this right,
Hmm.
But I apologized and said, all right. I was just taken a little off guard because I was actually asleep first and woke up so I accepted it, and then I welcomed it and said, okay, I think I'm prepared for this. And then I started finding, as much as they were giving me information, I think we were exchanging information is really what I felt it was.
Yes.
Yeah. I've had this actually. I've
Yeah.
had this like with the frequencies they're a bit crazy right now. I've always had that. And I also find that at the other house, they were around so much that we didn't ever use the upstairs. So after a while we closed it off and went, have at her. Okay, it might have been something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
But you,
Yeah.
but you,
More
but
like
you,
that.
but you have friends, and you might think, oh well, this is protection. I'm safe with all of this ET energy and beings around me upstairs. But
Hmm.
I like to think of it as like, no, I got more consciousness happening,
Hmm.
and that's going to create the safety. I mean, we are the beacons in this reality.
Yes.
They are not. I mean, that's why they like us,
Hmm.
and we would really like to help us, but we have to kind of believe in our own selves that we can actually be that vehicle to carry
That's
that energy.
That is the key. We are powerful beings. We really are. We are powerful beings. We are beings of light having a human experience. This is the meat suit, the car, the vehicle, nothing
Yeah.
more. Everything comes from within. And at that point, you need to be able to tap into that and trust in that. And it's hard to do, especially if you feel like it's easy for me to say because I have not had this crazy experience that some people like, look, I had a traumatizing experience, and there's a lot of theories that go along with that. But, you know, at the end of it all, I can only speak for my own personal experience. I can tell you I had a family member that said, well, I don't know, all about your experience because I woke up and I was being pulled through a closed window. Thank you very much. And then grabbed onto the side of it as he was going out and went, I don't think so. And then dropped like a sack of potatoes onto the floor. So thankfully it was just at window level and not ceiling level or anything like that. But I mean, I said, well, maybe had you just went with it, you might have had a better experience.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you might have just got there and went, hey, this is okay. He goes, no,
You didn't
fair
say
enough.
something. You didn't say something smart ass like, "Oh, well, gee, you could have paid $10 for a carnival ride to got that done, and you got it for free."
I
Nothing
know.
like that.
I could have paid $10 just to have a look at it. I'd have been all over that. Heck, I'd have paid double just to watch that thing happen. But no, but I totally understand. Like it's very easy for people, some experiencers, to say, "Wow, no, it was just all good," and it's like it's not all good for everybody else. But
Yeah.
that is there. The way it was put to me also at one point. I mean, some things are not great, and again, there's a lot of reasons for that. It's a whole other type of show. But um, if you're up there and you're sort of being taken, right?
Hmm.
Because apparently we all agree to this. We make these life
Yep.
pacts, and,
Yep.
and we all
Yep.
agree to this sort of thing, but we just forget. Well, stop scrubbing my little brain and let me remember because it will be very helpful. But
Yeah.
sometimes they do it to protect people, I believe,
Yep.
as well. But anyway, Yeah, I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, so this guy goes on there, and Preston talks about different stories like this too, because he's written so many books on it. But if you're going up there feeling a little volatile, like I could see why they might have left me alone for the first couple of times, because I'm like, I'm ready to fight. so so if if you are taking somebody and you are on a ship and you are volatile and you got guns a blazing and everything else, I think you're going to end up with a potential situation where they're like, well, we don't need all this shenanigans going on, inside the ship. So, right? So if you go up there and you're a little bit more, you're kinder and you're feeling really good about things and you're like, all right, I can maybe dig this, then maybe the experience might be a little bit better. So how many bad experiences, I guess, are happening
Yeah,
because of
yeah.
us?
Yeah, we need more Richard Dreyfuses in the world from Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yes. Yeah.
We're we're at the midpoint of the show, and if in case you haven't figured this out, you're on Becoming Quantum Conscious, and my guest today is Michelle Desrochers. She has a show on UPRN, which is the radio show you're listening to you on, and uh, uh, her show is called The Outer Realm, and Michelle explores these type of topics and way beyond. Uh, I'm always amazed who she brings on, and just a great researcher in general. But
Thank you.
she also attracts all of these weirdos that have amazing research of the most outer realm topics.
Right.
Uh,
We're a nice family of happy weirdos, though.
yes, yes, but they're some of the most courageous people because
Yes.
they are daring enough to research and study, experience
Mm.
all of this phenomenon. I don't know any show like this that takes it to such edges. And so we're lucky enough to have her on today talking about just her personal encounters and personal experiences with ET and
Mm.
the brotherhood, the sisterhood that all exists between all of us.
Hmm.
And
Hmm. I agree. We are. Everything is connected. Everything is connected, and that's pretty much what it comes down to, isn't it? Just keeping keeping that connection alive. Yeah, I agree with that.
yeah,
Yeah, high strangers is best. All these discussions with open-minded people are priceless. 100%. I think that's what all of us do. Anyone who's got a show will open a platform, create a platform for people to safely, come to and discuss their research or their experiences or dare to venture into the outer realm, so to speak. Just step outside the box.
step outside. So I have a question for you.
Hmm.
Uh, Thinking about, because we talk a lot about my experiences in France, and some of the places there are kind of like launching pads. In other words, you can launch into other realms of the highest order of angels, or
Mm.
being Yeshua's realm, or and
Hmm.
all of that's good. But it seems like ET is right up there, and there seems to be a relationship
Hmm.
between these historical figures, higher realms of angels,
Hmm.
archangels.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
100% all connected. The ancients, um, I don't think we're conditioned in our time. We've been conditioned, especially after Roswell. It's almost as though things changed, with talking about things so openly. But in the ancient world, and you can see this in hieroglyphs, petroglyphs, you could see this in structures of the ancient world where you're looking. I mean, there's stuff all over the place with grays, with different types of extraterrestrials. It's strongly believed that, I mean, there are different writings. Look at the Gnostics. The Gnostics often spoke about, the beings from the stars. Heck, that's where the archons come from. These are ethereal beings, and that they're very much out there. So somewhere along the line, I mean, these people were quite comfortable. I mean, there was even an Egyptian pharaoh found that was a gray. They found him in the 70s. And the Soviet Union got in there. The KGB got in there. There's actually video footage of this. It was a tall gray of sort, and it was a pharaoh.
Wow.
Full pharaoh burial, There's things out there we don't realize. You look in the tomb of Seti the First, you'll see there's hieroglyphs of helicopters, and there's things out there you're kind of wondering, what's that?
Mm,
And why is it there right now? When you're looking, in South America, and you see these monuments with all of these reptilian type, they're thinking, oh, well, it's the serpent gods, but they're reptilians. Much like you get into the Anunnaki, and you're getting into the whole reptilian side of things there as well. But in Peru, there are stories of reptilians. One specifically, and I think they have a statue to commemorate the experience, because in ancient times when Cataclysm was coming, he brought the people within this large community underground, and he took care of them and he educated them, and they were very much a part of the reptilian society there. The Hopi talk about their the ant people from underground who helped them during Cataclysm. You see what I mean? Like, they're
yeah,
already here. There
yeah.
are writings and teachings about this everywhere. Just listen to the indigenous; they'll tell you.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
everywhere. Just
Well,
look for it.
I'm interviewing Marika Alvarado, an Apache American Indian woman, on February 19th, giving her a plug. And I was asking her, you know, she grew up an Indian, always an Indian.
Yes,
And I go, and she always reminds me that, well, we don't follow Jesus. And I go, okay,
it's a creator.
I can dig it. And I go, well, who do you follow?
Yeah,
And she goes, and she just said so simply, we follow the star people. I was like, oh,
there we have it.
something Indians don't really talk about, but
I've heard friends say, they'll go the creator. That's what you'll hear me say, the
yeah,
creator, whomever the creator of all of this is, right? Because there's no conditioning. It's a creator. You're not labeling. For different communities and cultures, the creator, their gods have different names, but I ball it up into one, whether the creator is this incredible ethereal being, whether the creator is an extraterrestrial being. We don't know until we actually get there, and that's just how I look at it. But the indigenous all seem to have a lot of the same type of stories, and they stick to all of that. They
yeah,
have a very good understanding of what is underground, what is in the stars, what is all around, why it's happening, dealing with elementals, dealing with all that encompasses the
yes,
planet. It's a very different experience.
yes. Now it's just a different type of hunger that
Mm.
we eventually evolve to, in my opinion. Even if you
Mhm.
look at somebody like Carl Jung, created
Mhm.
all this great psychological concepts, but in his own personal world, he dealt with the shadow, and he went
Mhm.
into this deeply.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, what's next for you, Carl? And it's the study of ETs. That's what's next
Mhm.
for so many of us.
Mhm. I'll tell you, a lot of scientists have. I always go back to this one piece of research I found when Joe and I were doing the Gray Zone Uncensored, and there was an organization called the Order of the Dolphin, and this was all scientists, and they believed that dolphins could communicate with extraterrestrials. It brought me back to the Star Trek movie where they were looking for the humpback whale, and they had to teleport basically into the current world. These two humpback whales, because ET's like, where are they? Was the interaction, and there have been stories of crafts coming down and dolphins swimming in circles underneath it as it came down. There's an interaction there, and I think at some point you can Google it, Order of the Dolphin, and I believe Carl Sagan was a part of that. So there's definitely something to it,
Yeah.
right? There's sentient beings on this planet that are more than capable, not just humans, of having healthy communication with other beings from other places. Or maybe these are the beings that are underwater, who reside underwater in the deepest depths. We're all so anxious to make our way into space, but we don't realize what we have here. If you go down into the depths, you'll find so much.
Indeed. Uh, and and another part of this has been my curiosity this week. I
Hmm.
actually did this in my class in Austin the other day of tapping into what some of the people with autism are doing,
Yeah.
which is tapping into a collective consciousness where they interdimensionally communicate.
Hmm.
However,
Hmm.
what I found is it's right in the back of the head, right at the top, but on the back side, this would be connected to your primal brain.
Hmm.
And they have learned how to be with autism is learning that, well, that you just live that's turned off or that's
Hmm.
tweaked in a different way to
Hmm.
where you're not clogged up with emotions. And
That's impressive.
yeah, and so I really wonder if this is also an something that parallels what ET consciousness is to break beyond the
Mm-hmm.
emotional maelstrom.
Mm-hmm. Well, I could tell you, I have friends and family who have children with autism, and they are. I mean, I worked with children with autism throughout my couple of decades of doing this, and they are highly gifted and highly sensitive to energies. They travel and they communicate, things come back with them. Like it's a whole other thing. I think I remember telling the story of when my niece was visiting. And at the time I was working on a pretty malevolent, hey, Steve, nocturnal frequency. Um, I was working on a little bit more of a malevolent type of a situation with a family. And my niece was visiting and she leans over to my sister very casually. She goes, Mommy, she goes, what's growling? And I'm just like, sorry, that's with me. He's with me. I gotta pop that out right away. you know, but but the fact is I didn't hear it. And she heard it from the other side of the room. So she's this telepathic thing, maybe, or just
Yeah.
this higher sense of hearing. Like whatever the case was, I'm at the other side of the room, and she pecks this off way on the other side of the room. And I knew the presence, I knew where it was. Never
Yeah.
in a million years. Like I was just mind blown that she actually, So what was that? Telepathy or just this high sense, this upgraded sense of hearing of some sort?
I would call it the blank body. In other
Okay.
words, a body that doesn't have all of these emotional realities bopping back and forth, that
Mm-hmm.
we're judging and evaluating things. But in that space, we step into super consciousness
Mm-hmm.
and our mind gets to focus on something much bigger than
Mm-hmm.
who we are, which is,
Mm-hmm.
tapping into cosmos, tapping into
Mm-hmm.
angels, ET, the whole world. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like our antenna gets tweaked up when our body doesn't have so much garbage flowing in it
Mm-hmm.
emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
The baggage. It's always about the baggage, isn't it? And we can't help
it
it.
is, yeah, yeah.
Life does
Well,
that to us.
it does, and at the same time, we keep getting tweaked up. We keep evolving.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about how we were 20 years ago or 10 years ago
Mm-hmm.
emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
It's a totally different scene. What they
Mm-hmm.
told me in college. This is a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this is a popular phrase. If you know 1 minute of intimacy with another person,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you must have a very strong, evolved life.
Mm-hmm.
And if you said that today, you'd be like, come
Yeah.
on, you know,
Right.
that sounds so silly.
I know. But you know what? Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. When you really think about it, our baggage, we can't help it. We have to survive. We live in a physical place. We have jobs, we have bills, and there's conflict. I think we're often kept in a state of conflict with everything, all the responsibilities that we have. So of course, it's hard to push that to the wayside. Heck, some spirits don't even go over because they have so much of it that they just don't realize you got to let it go. You can't take it with you.
Yeah.
So that does hinder a lot of things that go on. I truly believe that.
Yes.
This is where meditation comes in. Just
Yeah.
purge it out, open yourself up, and just wait. Like miracles really do happen. To be aware and comfortable in communicating with these incredible beings to me is, you know, it will.
That that too will pass, Richard.
Yeah.
Bless you and best wishes.
Yeah. So I think it really is important to remember that we are really incredible beings having an incredible human experience. And don't close yourself off to everything that goes with that experience due to conditioning or just fears. And, you know, sometimes I truly believe if you listen to yourself, it will put you in the right position. Like, hey, stranger danger, back off, or no, or yeah, or this is okay. Right. So I think that if you listen to yourself, you lead yourself down the right path.
Indeed. And sadly, we're coming to the end of the show.
I know.
Uh,
Already.
uh, anything you would like to advertise, and also a parting message of what you'd like to bring out a little bit more wisdom, as you've given so much wisdom already in this 50 minutes. And while you're thinking about that, and I hope you're going to talk about your great show, The Outer Realm, which is
Yes.
on this very radio station called United Public Radio
Mhm,
Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network at
mhm,
107.7 and 105.3 out of New Orleans. And my name
mhm.
is Bart Sharp, and this is Becoming Quantum Conscious. And you have been listening to Michelle Desrochers of The Outer Realm. And you
Yes.
show on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's
We're
all
we're
it's always bouncing around for you. You know, you have
um
all of these shows happening, so people just
um
pay attention.
the regular shows are Wednesdays and Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern. And tonight is going to be one of those controversial shows with
Woo!
Jack Roth and John Semple, who are award-winning producer and directors. And they're coming on. We're going to be talking about whistleblowers. So that's going to be really crazy. Whistleblowers, because that can go in any direction possible. Tomorrow night, we have Morgan Daimler. She's going to be talking about druids and pagans. She's a folklorist, and she's just is incredible. So you don't want to miss it if you're into all this. But the Tuesday shows are something new. They're a spin off of the main show. They're called Beyond the Outer Realm, and they are for um, let's say uncensored versions that eventually leave YouTube or special editions. Next Tuesday is going to be really good because it's a special edition show. Because when I was in Scotland, I went on this tour called the City of the Dead tours. Mind blowing for anybody who's looking to do it or haven't done it. You have to do it. So the owner, Jamie's going to come on and he sent all kinds of pictures, guys. It'll be show and tell. 2 hours of show and tell and the whole City of the Dead tour right on Beyond the Outer Realm. It's going to be a lot of fun. So just something different. And it's
Yeah.
at 2 p.m. Central, or not Central, sorry, Eastern on 3 out of 4 Tuesdays every month because we have a new show on astrology starting on the network, which is going to be essentially once a month only. And she's going to teach astrology with
Ooh,
Priscilla Rosado Cruz. I know, it's going to be good. So I'm
that's
sharing my
wonderful.
time spot. Yep, it's good.
All right, all right. And thinking of times, next week we will have Dr. Richard Massey, and the topic will be family constellations. If you've never experienced it, it's quite amazing psychological tool that is very magical. I'll just put it that way, and neurologically benefiting. So,
Sounds exciting.
yes. Any last words of wisdom? We got about a minute to left.
Well, I see so many regular people in the chat room, and thank you guys all. You make it. I always say that the chat room makes it that much more fun, and I want to,
Yes.
big shout out to Learn Think Media as well. Looking forward to experiencing our show. I really hope you do, and I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel as well. And we're kind of everywhere: X, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook. And we're on over 200 different archive sites, including this one, by the way. So go and check that out. And words of wisdom, don't listen to me. No, sometimes. Sometimes. Yeah. Wayne's my compadre, just saying. So
Oh,
all under the same roof. Yeah. It gets interesting.
I was wondering why you understood him so well.
I know. I know. But it's been awesome. And thank you so much for having me on. Such a pleasure.
Oh, it's always a pleasure and such gratitude for you and all of what you do. And you bring such a big message out to the world. And it's so sincere. I know Michelle, and the one thing that I could say is she's coming from the heart.
Thank you.
So what better message with that? And thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for joining in the chat, and hope to see you next week at Becoming Quantum Conscious and on the Outer Rim. Bye-bye for now.